Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's coverage of Race 5 from the inaugural season of the Champions Motorsports Truck Series. Tonight, we are at the virtual Tricky Triangle here in Pocono, Pennsylvania for 80 laps of racing, 200 miles here from the Tricky Triangle here live on V-Speed 2. And boy, is it going to be a good one tonight. Probably what we can anticipate being the most competitive race of the season with these long straightaways and obviously the draft and these NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series vehicles. And now, Eddie, I'm here. I'm Alec Martinez, and joining me tonight, my producer and my partner, my broadcasting buddy, Eddie Smith. Appreciate you being here, Eddie. Let me tell you, last week we had the twists and turns of Mid-Ohio dominated by Miguel Colon. This week, the Tricky Triangle, 3 different corners, long straightaways. What are you expecting to see here tonight?
I'm expecting to see a lot of really good racing. The trucks with the draft is going to be huge here on these long straightaways. A 2.5 mile track, and it is a lot of fun in the trucks. It's going to be all about momentum. You got to keep the momentum up, and I tell you, if we look on that graphic right there, you see that blue line where they come out. That's turn 1. And I'll tell you what, if you miss that right there, your whole lap is done. So it's going to be important to hit turn 1 and carry that momentum all the way to the start-finish line.
Absolutely, and looking at the moment, qualifying still going on. Currently on pole, it's about 40 seconds to go. Davis Braun in the 24 truck last week, I believe, brought it home in second, and then this week so far has got it on the pole. Last week's winner, Miguel Colon, I don't believe has turned a lap. Oh no, he did, but currently not the speed we expect out of the 87. Right now in 13th position. Gonna be hard. We talk about these trucks. Draft is gonna be big, but also the aerodynamics, dirty air, more of a factor in corners, these tight corners, especially the tunnel turn. Big bump gonna upset these race cars, and a few new names here. 227 truck, Mike Farrell. He's gonna be racing here tonight in that Toyota Tundra TRD Pro as the timer has run up, and that'll put Davis Braun on the pole here tonight for race number 5. And how about we get our starting grid up here for 150 miles. Actually, no, it's 200 miles, I believe, 80 laps, but 2.5 mile racetrack, 3 corners, but all different long straightaways. And starting on the pole tonight, Davis Braun in the Toyota Tundra TRD Pro with a 53.960. And to his outside, good to have him back, Kyle Smith in the 55, rolling off in second, trying to change that points or chase that points leader of Miguel Colon. Row number 2 has Dennis Crosby in the 22, and to his outside will be Brian Schabelsky in the 85. Down to row number 3, Chris Hudson in that STP Toyota Tundra will be rolling off in 5th. Kevin Ayers in the 58 Toyota Tundra TRD Pro will be rolling off in 6th. Row number 4 has Jose Ramirez and Tim Collier, the 200, up in 8th. Then row number 5, you got the 05 Mark Nister making his second career start, and then the Gateway winner of Brett Stevens up in 10th.
Yeah, that's your top 10. Outside of that, starting 11th, Michael Parker, and outside of him is Scott Kennedy. Starting in 13th, this will be the big story tonight. Your points leader with a massive points lead. We'll look at that in just a minute, but starting in 13th position, going to need a lot of luck and a good amount of momentum and working that draft to get up to the front, but I bet he can do it. 14th is going to be Anthony James. David Anderson going to start in the 15th position. He's second in points. He's looking to continue that trend of moving up the point standings. Jay Dargert there in 16th. 17th, Alex Maynard, and outside of him in 18th is Gabriel Albano. 19th, Mike Tyler, and 20th, Jack Clark.
And in 21st, Jacques Richard will be rolling off in the 21st position, with Michael Farrell rolling off in 22nd in row number 11. And that will do it here for tonight's race. The Pocono Raceway 150, I believe 200 miles here tonight from the Tricky Triangle. Man, it's going to be a fun race. And while they're rolling off a pit road, taking the pace laps, how about we pull up our point standings really quick just to see where everybody's looking at here. And your points leader currently is Miguel Colon with 2 wins and 148 points total accumulated. He'll be your points leader, but David Anderson, Brett Stevens, Kyle Smith, all looking to gain those points, especially starting ahead of the 87 truck tonight, will be definitely something you want to look forward to as well. And I believe the over 50 points, I'm not sure if we have that one, but I know that one's a little bit tighter as well, and I believe David Anderson is leading that one. So as the trucks are rolling out, how about we pull in Jay Dargert, be rolling off in the 60th position. Jay, you got a copy?
Yes, sir, I do.
Well, Jay, you're rolling off 16th in that Chevy Silverado. How do you feel about 80 laps here at the Tricky Triangle?
It's a great track. Just got to be patient, manage that right front a little bit, and hopefully things will come to you. Made the cardinal sin on qualifying to make a change to the setup, and Hey, you see where it got me.
Well, buddy, we wish you the best of luck. Go get them out there, and hopefully we'll be interviewing here at the end of this race.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you, Jay. Jay will be rolling off from 16th. Multiple cameras for multiple drivers here tonight. And as we roll down off at the tunnel turn and down into the short chute, Eddie, who's your pick here tonight?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I just don't know. In the ovals, Pocono is just such a particular type of track. I think all of these guys have, all of our big players, Davis Braun, very strong last week, but has been shown a lot of strength on the ovals. Kyle Smith, Dennis Crosby, Brian Shabelski, Chris Hudson. I mean, all those guys in the top 5 for sure, but, my eyes on Michael Cologne. Miguel Cologne, excuse me. Yeah, I think he's got it going on. But getting ready to go green here. Green flag is out. Davis Braun going to lead us down to the start-finish line, and we're under green here at Pocono.
Yes, we are underway here from the Pocono Raceway. Everybody getting fanned out down the front stretch, but we'll get you guys into the engines of these trucks for about one lap. Oh, a little trouble. Mark Nister lose with Chris Hudson. They'll save it. Everybody gets it going here. Everybody gathers it up. Oh, no, Mark Nister to the inside wall hard. No caution has come, not a caution has come out yet. Believe everybody keeps it clean and green, but heavy damage to the 05 truck.
Yeah, not a good way to start, but so far so good for Kyle Smith as he takes the early lead here as they go barreling down into turn 3, and they're all starting to get single filed now. I mean, Pocono is so exciting because you can get the 5 wides on the front stretch, especially on these restarts. And so you see them starting to fan out a lot like Indy. You got the Indy cars, and they get out there and they kind of weave down the back straightaway trying to break the draft. And you got Brian Shabelski looking down to the inside of Davis Braun for second place, not quite able to do it just yet.
And my pick, Jose Ramirez, making a charge to the inside under the Dennis Crosby. The 75 truck moves up into 4th. Everybody so far single file down Long Pond straightaway. And I'm just curious if we have the picture-in-picture. We'll pull it up in just a few seconds of the lap 1 incident between the 43 of Chris Hudson and the 05 of Mark Nister. It looks like Hudson may have got loose off of turn number 1 there with cold tires, was able to gather it up. Unfortunately, the 05 made a little contact, got thrown to the inside wall, and unfortunately it cost him a lot of time and even damaged his truck. You can see 43 gets loose on the bottom of your screen. The 05 gets it gathered up, but hits a massive bump. The truck bottoms out, can't save it, and makes hard contact with the inside wall. But unfortunately, Mark Nister going to be off the pace, 41 seconds behind the leaders. But the leaders right now battling Davis Braun, the pole sitter, going back to the inside of Kyle Smith. He'll take the lead, but not for long. Smith charges back up to the outside using that slingshot. Braun clears down Long Pond Straddle, but Smith charges back. Shabelski right behind him in the draft. Now the 24 pulls up to the corner, to the door, won't side draft him, but it opens up, punches a massive hole in the air in the trucks, and allows Shabelski and Ramirez to close in.
Yeah, this is what you're going to see all night long, especially with the way the trucks are. Momentum is king, and these straightaways are very, very long. So we've already seen a couple of times where guys have gone down to the inside on entry and to make the pass, but yet not able to complete it. That momentum on the outside is really, really strong. But this time, off of turn 3, Davis Braun has the lead. And they go down the straightaway. We'll see if it lasts. Shabelski maybe thinking about going 3 wide here. We'll see.
Shabelski had a big run, backed out of it, but you know who else had a big run? Jose Ramirez gets by the 85 of Shabelski, moved the 75 to 3rd. Now side by side, using up those gripped up lanes. You can't see it, but there is resin in those lanes. It should allow these guys to use that lane, but Braun able to clear Kyle Smith off for turn number 1, and now down the Long Pond straightaway they'll go. Jose Ramirez, a massive run into the tunnel turn. We talk about the tunnel turn being so tight, so narrow, one groove turn. It's going to be hard to run side by side, but we've seen it before, especially with how big of runs we get. And on board with the Toyota Tundra TRD Pro of Kyle Smith. Right now, calm, cool, collected, knows what he has. Does he have a long run truck? Especially with 80 laps, you're looking at 2 to 3 pit stops, especially with how big this track is so far. Smith is nice and calm right now.
Yeah, I mean, what we've seen so far is if you make any split decision that doesn't use the momentum, I mean, that you're going to find yourself losing positions. Exactly what happened to Brian Zabelski. I mean, he had a nice run and decided to back out of it, and just because of that, I mean, he loses third place, and now he has to build that momentum up. So it's a lot, it's a lot different, this style of racing versus what we're used to on the NASCAR circuit with these trucks, just because that draft is so important. And it's momentum. You're going to hear it. It's going to be a broken record from us tonight. Momentum, momentum. That's going to be the biggest thing. It takes, if you let off, it's like Talladega Daytona. It's going to take you a lap or two to get that back going. And like I said earlier at the beginning of the race, lap one in turn one, the whole race is going to be super important because you carry that whole speed down the straightaway into the tunnel turn, which is a very fast left-hander, and if you don't keep that speed up, you're going to find yourself losing contact with the leaders quickly.
Absolutely. The top 5 have kind of pulled away, actually top 3 separating themselves. But now into turn 1, you see Miguel Colon getting underneath Tim Collier of the 200. Now Scott Kennedy in the 03 looking to get another spot. And Collier dropping back a few spots. Brett Stevens in the 86 has also been on the move along with the 87 of Miguel Colon. Stevens got by Collier the last lap, and then off the turn number 3, Kevin Ayers had to get out of the gas. Stevens had a nice run down the front stretch and was able to get by, and now he got on board with Miguel Colon in the 87, started 13th up to 8th, trying to get 7th away from the 58 of Kevin Ayers into turn number 3. Just looks like Miguel Colon and Brett Stevens have really good trucks in traffic, especially if these trucks get in clean air. I wonder what they can do. But right now, Stevenson 2.8 seconds back. Miguel Colon sitting 4 seconds back, needs to get by. You can see he's going to pull up down this front stretch. He's going to side draft the 58, and that's going to be big, crucial in these trucks. Pulling these guys back, pulling the car to your outside or inside, back on the straightaway, side drafting them, slowing them down, and then getting them and charging the corner and getting by, just like what the 87 of Miguel Colon was able to do. Collier able to hold on to the position in 9th over Scott Kennedy, but these guys slowly closing up on Kevin Ayers in the 58 truck.
Yeah, as we look at Brian Zabelski, who has now gotten back to the back bumper, and you can see he was fighting for second place there not too long ago, and now he's finally gotten back to the back bumper of that 75 machine. Now he's going to look to attack. It's just such an interesting track car combo, and it's so much fun. But it's just, you're right there on that razor's edge of what you need to do, and you can see Brian get a nice run down through the straightaway. I mean, this straightaway is so long, and you see he's starting to look to the inside, just not quite ready to make that move just yet. But I think what you'll see tonight is guys are going to really be focused on the tires. And we'll look at the race analysis real quick while we're watching this battle. Right now, you see open setups 80 laps. It's a long time here at Pocono. I mean, these laps are almost a minute, so that's going to be a long, especially if we have a bunch of cautions. And then 1 fast repair and 3 total sets of tires. So tires going to be something that guys think about. But I just don't think the way that this type of racing works is it's sort of like road courses. While you would like to be able to save tires, you look back here in the back, David Anderson, second in points, is almost 10 seconds back here on lap 8. So saving tires is not really something you can do. I just don't think it's going to be something you can give up a ton of time, because it's going to be impossible to make it back up. So I think tonight you're really going to have to be aggressive. We've seen some guys be aggressive earlier. Miguel making up some spots early. And so I think that's what you're going to have to be. I think saving tires is probably a waste of time. So if you're driving in the back of the pack and thinking, let me just let this guy by. I mean, look at Brian Zabelski here. He got past, and he's been completely trying to work this guy over for the last couple laps. So it's going to be interesting to see how this tire strategy and stuff really works with only 2 extra sets of tires.
It's going to be interesting. Like you said, Gateway came down to some tire strategies. Oh, Tim Collier pounds the wall down off of the tunnel turn. A hard hit to the right side. We saw him brush it in the back of the frame there off of turn 1. This time got it really hard. And I've been noticing even behind these guys, Michael Parker, Anthony James, Kevin Ayers, and even Jay Darger, they've been going at it. I've been seeing, I believe Parker took him 3 wide and got a few positions out of that. The racing back here is aggressive. They know how much the track position means. And now on board with Dennis Crosby having a nice run in 5th, the highest running Ford of the field here tonight. And it seems like Zabelski's kind of been stuck behind Ramirez most of this time. That's allowed Crosby to close up to the 75 and 85, but now Shabelski's going to go side by side into the tunnel turn. Will he lose air here? All that side force going to go off, especially with somebody to your right side. Shabelski takes third away, the podium spot. Ramirez gives him a shot. Crosby has to stay in line, and then don't look now. Look who's behind Dennis Crosby. The 86 of Brett Stevens and the 87 of Miguel Colon. They have caught up to this battle. These trucks behind on the top, the 86 and 87, are by far the two fastest trucks so far in this field. Braun and Smith are 3 seconds ahead. It seems like maybe the 75 was holding this group up a little bit as Stevens looks underneath the 22 of Dennis Crosby into turn number 1.
Yeah, just a little bit there in that tunnel turn that made Dennis Crosby lose a little bit of momentum. And like I said, buzzword of the night. And because of that, that allowed Brett Stevens to have that big run. But here comes Dennis Crosby. Got a nice run out of turn 1 there and able to hold off Brett Stevens. Now he's got the run here on the 75 of Jose Ramirez. Ramirez looks like he got that early third place, but now starting to fall back a little bit is now that Brian Zabowski got us. Miguel Colon gets into the wall a little bit. I love to see it. Let's go. Now it seems like Jose Ramirez starting to fall back a little bit. So it seems like he got that early jump there, got up to third, and is just slowly falling back. He is under fire. Look, he's got Miguel Colon all over the back bumper.
Two rows of double wide. Colon gets a run, takes him 3 wide. Here comes the 87 from 13th, looking to get to 4th. In one move, 3 wide, fanning down the straightaway. Colon sends it into the corner. Crosby backs out, but now he fights in the middle. Jose Ramirez can't get to the gas. Crosby has to lift. Colon gets the 2-for-1 special down the backstretch and now into Long Pond. Brett Stevens has to hold back a little bit. He'll try to get to the outside of the 22 of Crosby, but Colon honestly got the 3-for-1 special out of turn 3 all the way down to the front stretch, and now can continue to carry that momentum as Stevens around the outside of Dennis Crosby moves Stevens up into 6th, trying to get to Ramirez in 5th. Colon up to 4th. Shabelski has about a second gap over the 87 and about a 3-second gap to Kyle Smith and Davis Braun, but that 87 and 86 are coming, especially the 87 of Miguel Colon.
Yeah, I mean, just impressive. I love to see it. That's efficiency at its best. He sees his opportunity. Instead of backing out, he takes the opportunity to go 3 wide and takes over that position and gets himself into the 4th position. Just impressive. I mean, like you said, I mean, a 3-for-1 special is the best way of doing it, especially if you're trying to make passes, and we've seen it be difficult to complete these passes. So if I can pass 3 trucks in one corner, I'm going to do it. So
hard racing back here from 5th on back to 7th between Ramirez, Stevens, and even the 22 of Crosby. Crosby's still stuck behind that 75 truck, has not found a way to get by yet, and it seems like these 2 trucks starting to fall off just a little bit. These guys, I'm surprised they haven't made any contact, but man, what a move from Miguel Colon, able to get 3 spots in a matter of 2 corners, as there goes Ramirez, slides up the track. Now that allows Dennis Crosby to pull to the inside of the 75. He'll get on by. Back here, David Anderson, Jay Darger, Kevin Ayers, as well as Mike Tyler in the 245 going at it. Anderson to the inside of Jay Darger.
Yeah, wanted to highlight this because I saw there was a lot of battling going on. They've been trading positions back and forth, back and forth. David Anderson trying to work his way. He's up 3 spots from where he started. That's your 2nd place in points. And he is working his way up through the field. But right now, Jay Darger, who we talked to before the race, he's also up 3 spots. So Kevin Ayers, those guys getting around him, he's falling back about 8. But a lot of guys on the move. These 2 right here seem to be running together. They're kind of making their way through the field at the same pace. And so David Anderson going to try to knock on the door of this top 10 here soon.
Let me see how focused Jay's looking there. In the 286 as Mike Tyler got by Kevin Ayers, and now the battle for the 10th position, Tim Collier, Michael Parker going at it down the front stretch. Collier lost the spot to Anthony James in the 216. Now Parker trying to find a way around here in that 23 truck. A lot of Toyotas in the field here tonight, and so far top 3 are Toyotas here tonight from Pocono here. And I'll tell you what, man, Miguel Colon turning about the same lap times, is able to actually get by Brian Shabelski in the 85. Colon on a charge, already up 10 spots here in the first 15 laps. And we got to look out, what is the fuel window going to be like for these guys? What do these guys want to take tires? Like you said, 2 sets in the pits. you know, how is this going to work here? Especially 80 laps, that's a long, long way to go.
Yeah, you know, 100% fuel here in this series, so they've got a full fuel load. You know, it'll be interesting. I think, you know, that will kind of we'll kind of see it play out as soon as somebody hits pit road and lets us know. You know, we saw David Anderson a few weeks ago try a little pit strategy, so we'll see if that, you know, pops up at all. But I wonder, with it being 80 laps, and I wonder if they can make it. You know, I wonder if they'll have to have one stop that'll be fuel only, because they only have 2 tire changes. So I wonder how far they can actually go here at POCONO.
I think it's definitely possible in the real truck race. Obviously, no stages here in the Champions Motorsports League, which thankfully there isn't. But we do know that as Brett Stevens got by Brian Shabalski, and now you see Michael Parker getting by Tim Collier. But with the stages, they would pit about once, and usually they sit out first stage, pitted the second stage, so about 30 laps, I think, is what would have been in total, and then they would go out, and then you pit only once. So I think you could probably get 30 laps on a tank of fuel. There's probably a 2-stopper. You might be able to get away with getting your 2 sets of tires. It's all going to be if you think there's going to be a caution or not, and this field is getting spread out, but there are some trucks kind of close to each other, and they're not really super close, but obviously the possibility of a caution coming out is definitely in the question. Is Jose Ramirez, Scott Kennedy going at it for 7th. Ramirez, unfortunately, just falling off, does not seem to have the rotation in the 75 truck. Seems to be tight. Can't get that truck turned, can't get into the gas as soon as he would like. And unfortunately, that's what's costing him a lot of time here is Kennedy on the inside. I haven't really talked about Scott Kennedy much this season, but so far, having a really good run here. Solid run well inside the top 10 as he's still trying to fight around that 75 car, but the 75 pulls back here down underneath the 75. The 75 Ramirez, we saw last week, was not afraid to give the bumper, be a little physical, and right now you can see him. He's fighting hard. He does not like to give up spots. I can tell you that. And if I notice anything in the series, Jose Ramirez is one of the hardest guys to get around.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, just looking down here, I mean, up front, just kind of give you an idea of what's going on up front. You can see it. We've kind of got, you know, almost like 3 distinct groups at this moment. You know, Davis Braun and Kyle Smith. I think Miguel Colon's definitely fast enough to run with these guys along with Brett Stevens. Oh, yeah. They just didn't have the track position early on. They've had to fight their way through traffic, and they currently find themselves about 4.5 for Brett Stevens, 3.6 for Miguel Colon. So, you know, I think they're just looking for track position. They're trying to maybe hope for a caution that would help, because right now they're going to need a lot more than what they're putting down to be able to run these guys down. So it's going to be interesting. I think qualifying, it's like I said, you know, Pocono is similar to a road course in a lot of ways, especially if there's not a lot of cautions. You know, where you qualify is just so important. And so right now, the qualifying up front seems to be the best. Miguel Colon's been able to get himself through 10 spots. It's just, does he have enough to run these guys down? I mean, he's there. You can see he's pretty close. But, you know, 3.5 seconds to make up when you are, you know, sometimes a tenth, sometimes running the exact same lap time. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a long way to try to catch him back up.
Notice Kyle Smith is starting to fall off. I'm not sure if he had a mistake the last lap, but Braun a 56.1, Smith a 56.6, and Colon a 56.0. So I think Colon and Stevens are the 2 fastest trucks. Didn't have the qualifying pace, but have the race pace currently over an 80-lap race. With their pace, they'll be able to get there within the 2nd or 3rd run. But right now, honestly, if you're Brett Stevens, maybe if you can get up to Colon, maybe just draft with them. Pull, kind of have a 2-car tandem to run up to these 2. And like I said, Kyle Smith a little bit more consistent lap there, and even Braun. But I noticed Smith and Braun have kind of hit a cliff. As these tires, maybe they're starting to run those tires down. We talked about maybe saving a little bit of tire. It's something, and right now I think Braun and Smith are really starting to either just struggle a little bit with keeping the consistent pace up. And I'm not sure if it's just maybe 1 bad lap, 2 bad laps. But right now, Miguel Colon is absolutely flying about 2-3 tenths of a lap faster. And once you get about a second back in the draft, you'll really start feeling the effects of the straightaway, especially with 3 long straightaways here. You get that draft, that push, that pull, it starts to come up quick. You start gaining that time by really.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, because as you get that draft, you get a little closer, you get like have a
That
second.
dirty air.
Yeah, then all of a sudden the dirty air takes the downforce and the knee to keep that momentum that we're talking about. Let's watch Miguel Colon as he goes down to the corner and see what they're doing. You can hear as soon as he can get back on the throttle, he's actually pushing up wide here. Yeah, half section, get out of it. A little bit of contact with the wall. So he's going to lose a little bit of time. And like I said, that's so important. You have to nail that corner every single time. That's what makes this track the tricky triangle, is that right there. The tunnel turn is pretty straightforward. You drive down to the bottom and get on the gas, but it's easy to miss that line as well. So it's a razor's edge. You know, turn 3 is almost like a break because you drive down the corner and you just kind of let it roll for a little while, roll back on the throttle. It runs like a really flat Milwaukee corner. Where
turn 3, I think, is off of Milwaukee.
It is, exactly. So as you watch him go down to the straightaway, I mean, he still turned a pretty good lap time, a little bit slower than Davis Braun, but just look as they drive down into turn 1. It is just fast as you can in the corner. Let off, get down to the bottom. And when you feel like you're good and you get off the corner without hitting the wall, you stomp that throttle. He's full throttle all the way here. And he's got to carry the speed down Long Pond. And it's called Long Pond for a reason. Is look how much he's got. I mean, if you missed that corner like you did last time, that's the difference in what's in your lap time. I mean, it's a good 4/10.
It is.
So down in the tunnel turn, you got to jump, go down, you got to carry that momentum, you carry it off of one, down in the tunnel turn, off the gas, or on the throttle, and get back on it. But man, as we've been watching from his on board, look at Brett Stevens has run him down.
And I wonder, we talk about how long these straightaways are. Miguel, getting into the wall, does that hurt the aerodynamics of this truck? And aerodynamics so important here, especially, like you said, these long straightaways. I believe it may affect the handling, if not even the aerodynamics down the straightaway. Not the same truck it was 2 laps ago after he hit the wall there. Maybe a little bit of pushed fender in on the 87 truck, and that's not what you want to have here, especially at Pocono with these long straightaways. And personally, I've always loved this track. Probably my favorite racetrack that we come to on the schedule, just because of how unique this track is. You got so many, all 3 corners are different, and I absolutely love the tunnel turn. Tunnel turn is such a fun corner because you got to go through there really fast, and it's about setting up that that run off of turn 2 into turn 3, and there's just a certain feeling when you hit the tunnel turn right. It feels really good because you know. And the tunnel turn, I believe, other than maybe even turn 1, but I truly think most time is gained in the tunnel turn. The tunnel turn is such a crucial corner because it gives you that confidence. When you hit the tunnel turn right, the confidence that it gives you to go into turns 1 and 2, or into turns 1 and then into turn 3, especially the first corner you get, it's just such a in any kind of sports, it's like building that momentum, getting wins, whether it's in, stick and ball sports, football, baseball. It's about getting that momentum and racing. Every corner you hit right, it gives you more momentum, it gives you more confidence to hit the other corners right, knowing that, okay, if I can hit the tunnel turn right, I can hit turns 3, I can hit turn 1 really good. And when I do that, I help myself tremendously, especially down these long straightaways. This track is so unique, and that's why I love it. The trucks, it's obviously very momentum based. But man, when you are able to hit the corners right, especially in the trucks of any of the NASCAR racing vehicles that come here, the trucks are the most important vehicle to hit the corners right here, especially at Pocono.
Yeah, it takes all 3 turns, right?
It really does.
It's just such a long track, 2.5 miles, and it just every turn matters. And man, we've got a nice battle going on in the second place.
I have a good one, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's fallen off quite a bit here. Miguel Colon has gotten that draft and bring Brett Stevens with him. I think Brett has had opportunities to maybe look down and try to make a pass, but has obviously just been riding behind that 87, using that draft and working together as they get side by side. That would kill their momentum. But here goes Miguel Colon looking down to the inside as they go down to the tunnel turn here.
Colon into the inside of Kyle Smith. Smith gives the position up. Colon misses the corner just a little bit, but Smith has nothing to answer for the 87's move Colon up to second. What can Brett Stevens do in the 86 to get around the 55? The 55, we've seen it really all year. Qualifies really well, can stay up there for the first maybe, I'd say 2/3 of a run, and it's just that final little bit of the run, the long run, is where this 55 Kyle seems to struggle at just a little bit. And unfortunately, Stevens had most of the inside, and that's really going to hurt the 55. Here he'll drop back and forth, probably into turn number 1 as Stevens to the inside. Smith not going to give up the position as easy here as Colon loving what he's seeing, trying to get a gap away from the 86. I think Colon's starting to realize that 86 is probably his biggest contender, maybe other than the 24. 24, although, is starting to get back to the times that the 86 and the 87 are running. I think the top 3 trucks are going to be in the top 3 here once the 87 or the 86 can get by the 55 into the tunnel turn again. Smith not giving it up here. Stevens is trying. I think he's being calm with it, but I think you don't want to lose touch with the 87. That 87 has already drove about 7-8 truck lengths ahead of these guys. Stevens got to find a way by the 55 of Smith, and he's got to do it really quick.
Yeah, I think this is really bad for Brett Stevens. I mean, he got to him and maybe a little bit patient there, which is always nice. But I think, yeah, I mean, see Brett Stevens going to go down to the inside. He's going to have to clear him here. He's going to lose touch of Miguel Colon. Miguel is moving pretty quickly, about a tenth faster than Davis Braun last lap. So Kyle Smith's going to go way up the track. He is going to have a big run off the corner. That's going to be very, very difficult for Brett to do anything with. But he still has the inside track going into the tunnel turn, which it should give him the spot in the tunnel turn because running off the high side on old tires is very difficult. But Kyle is going to drive down on the door, and man, what a power move by Kyle Smith. He ain't playing around.
This is absolutely killing Brett Stevens, but I'm really surprised Stevens didn't try to go up and side draft him down the long pond straight. I don't know why he didn't. I think that kind of hurt his chances of getting by. His industry development, Jose Ramirez brought it down to pit road, and now look at who's bringing it down to pit road. Our leader, Davis Braun. Interesting to see. But Braun bringing it down to pit road, and I will say 2 seconds, or about a second and a half of fall off there over the run for the 24 truck. But he'll be the first truck to bring it down to pit lane, so that hands over the lead to Miguel Colon in the 87. Was most likely bring it down to pit road. Kyle Smith, Brett Stevens have kind of gotten separated. Braun nice and easy into the box. Led 24 laps so far. Looks like the jacks go up. He'll take 4 tires in the 24 truck. Also seeing, I believe Ramirez did take tires as well. So Shabelski also bringing it in the 85. What will this do for Miguel Colon, who has now opened up a 2-second lead over Kyle Smith and Brett Stevens? Stevens just seems to be stuck in that dirty air of the 55.
Well, I think Davis Braun. You're going to see Miguel Colon come down pit road immediately. I think Davis Braun made the right call. I mean, normally as the leader, you kind of have control. You know that you can go a little bit extra because you've got the gap that you need. But with the way that Miguel Colon was coming up through the field, Davis Braun getting down on pit road first is a big, big deal. 2.5 miles he'll have on fresh tires, and those guys are coming down now, but he's going to have those fresh tires to be able to extend that lead a little bit and give himself a little bit of breathing room over Miguel Colon. So.
And what's perfect for Braun on this lap, Braun had draft down the straightaway, which should really help him, especially down off into turn 3. He'll get by I believe it's a 227 of Mike Farrell. And right now, Colon just exiting pit road. Braun's going to be coming at full speed. I don't think he's going to open as big of a lead as I thought he would. Actually, he's going to lose the lead. Colon's going to jump him right now, but Braun will get by, but not even close to what I thought he was going to be. I don't think Braun, and now look at the pit stops. Braun was a 43.0 total time in pit road. Miguel Colon was a 40.9, and I have bad news. Kyle Smith speeding on pit road.
Yeah, that's something that can happen for sure. So that's a bummer
Brett
for
Stevens
him.
Bringing it down pit road as well. Let's see what he'll be able to do. Staying out an extra lap. Going to have the overcut over both Colon and Braun, but Colon going to be all over the 24 of Davis Braun. But I think Colon might be his match here. I think Braun has had a really good truck. He's been able to keep up with the adjustments to that truck and being able to keep that cleaner. It should be interesting. Just exiting pit road, Braun and Colon go right on by Brett Stevens. Stevens is going to get pulled about 2 or 3 seconds. Stevens with a 42.0 entry. Unfortunately, that's going to cost him 4 seconds, but he'll have the freshest tires. A credit to Miguel Colon, showing why he is the championship points leader and the championship favorite. Just able to execute in about every single way possible.
Yeah, I mean, 2 seconds faster on pit lane. He got in pit lane, got off pit lane, just that much faster. And then he just rolled a better RMG pit stop. So you pull the box, iRacing decides when you pull in and start your pit stop, what's your time going to be? And for luckily for Miguel Colon, it's really close there. But luckily for him, he got what he needed to get a much better pit stop. So all around so much better. I mean, you think, well, how much time can you make on entry and exit? And I tell you, if you haven't been watching NASCAR, you never watch Kyle Busch get on and off pit road. It's a work of art to get down on and off pit road like they do and make up that time. And Miguel Colon's going to have a nice little run here as he got a little lap traffic here for Davis Braun.
Speaking of Kyle Busch, shades of Kyle Busch with that run off of turn number 1. Miguel Colon sends it into the tunnel. Turn Braun can't do anything. And the 24 truck up the racetrack.
He's
Miguel
fighting
Colon
He's fighting back.
Fighting on the inside, Braun on the outside. He's going to have to pinch him into turn 3. Cologne goes down to the inside. Braun using that resin line up on the outside. Cologne's going to clear out the corner. He's going to get the lead. He's going to tag the wall. Braun looks low. Now he'll push him down the front stretch. Miguel Cologne up into 4th. Currently into 4th right now, but will be for the lead after everything cycles out. How about that for the 87? Like you said, and I'll say shades of Kyle Busch early this season in NASCAR in the Truck Series. We saw Kyle Busch get a massive run on Corey Heim and got a pass done in the tunnel turn, just like Miguel Colon was able to do right there.
Yeah, I mean, just man, so frustrating for Davis Braun. That lap truck didn't do anything wrong, but just the angle in which Davis Braun had to use his truck to get up under the inside just allowed Miguel Colon to get the run he needed and get alongside. And so now, I mean, Miguel Colon will be up 12 spots from where he started. Just an impressive drive so far. But right now, David Anderson is going to give up the lead, come down pit road along with Mike Tyler, who is coming in as well. Mike really aggressive on entry. So those guys give up the lead, and Ayers comes in as well. So Miguel Colon will take over the lead. Davis Braun not going to let him get away, though.
And what a statement by Miguel Colon, showing from 13th on the track. We know it's difficult to pass that. Going from 13th to the lead in 33 laps. Colon leads his first lap that last time by. But Braun's got to do he's got to manage the gap. He can't let Colon pull out too far. But if he can keep him in his sight just like this, maybe beat him on pit entry next time and give himself a chance to stick with this 87 truck. But, man, I'll tell you what, that 87 truck looks to be on rails as he's starting to open up that gap to about a half a second. I'm curious to see Brett Stevens is 6 seconds behind the leader, Miguel Colon. We saw him get stuck behind Kyle Smith, and I think that ultimately hurt him. I think Stevens might have had a faster truck than Colon that last run. He just couldn't seem to make the time or make the time up that Colon was able to put once Smith got by the 80, or when Smith was still, or the 86 couldn't get by the 55 of Kyle Smith. And unfortunately, that's hurt him, but enough to at least come out behind Brian Shabelski in the 85 truck, who he's getting draft from. But Stevens might want to stay in this drive and see if they can maybe make him some time. But I feel like the 87 or the 86 truck just might be a little bit better than the 87. I think the gap might be too far, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I think Miguel Colon was just more aggressive.
He was, yeah.
It's like I said, it's going to be a broken record, but using the momentum to your advantage, making the moves when you can, being efficient, making the passes, not getting stuck behind people. Miguel Colon has just been better at it. And while I agree with you, Brett Stevens has shown to be just as fast, Davis Braun as well. I think Miguel has shown all season that he is not afraid to be aggressive. I can't remember a time that his aggression has gone overboard. I think he knows exactly how to turn it up to just the right amount that he needs to make the passes the moves he needs, and that's paid off for him right now. He's got the lead just because of that being able to make up 12 spots when he starts. Brett Stevens, though, down to the inside, he's going to be able to, or try to at least, make a move here. Brett has got to get these passes done, especially if we get a caution. He wants that track position.
Yeah, Stevens gets to the inside, gets by the 85 of Shabelski.
Yeah.
Probably a good move on Shabelski's part.
Yeah, smart move for sure. But Brett Stevens is no slouch. I mean, so far he is just playing second fiddle to Miguel Colon, but up 7 spots where he started. He started in the 10th position and up into the 3rd. I think if a caution comes out, I think I'm looking at Brett Stevens as being sort of somebody who can really go tick for tack for Miguel Colon. So I'd be interested if a caution does come out. We don't want one, but if it does come out, I think you're absolutely right. I think Brett Stevens is the one that can do it. Now, if we go back, if you look on the left side of your screen and look at the intervals that Pocono can, especially with green flag pit stops. I mean, Miguel Colon, Davis Braun, less than a second between the two. Davis Braun really just hanging on by a thread by using that draft, it seems like, because he's just a little bit slower every single lap. Then Brett Stevens and Brian Jabelski are sort of running there together. And then you've got to go all the way back 11.5 seconds to Dennis Crosby in that 5th position. I mean, just so spread out. He's got Scott Kennedy right behind him. This is a battle for the 5th position. Then you got to go back another 6 seconds to Jose Ramirez, who is running in the 7th position. And then you go back here, there's David Anderson, Tim Collier fighting for this, for 9th position right inside the top 10. And then you go to 11th, and they're 6.5 seconds back. So, all the way back to 16th, the last car on the lead lap or truck, is Kevin Ayers in that 16th position. And, you guess who's right behind him? He's in danger of going a lap down. So you could just see how spread out and how, we talk about that razor's edge of hitting the line every time and holding that momentum makes a huge difference. And that's why these trucks are so spread out like they are.
Exactly, closing up 3 laps away from halfway. A caution definitely would make this interesting. But I tell you what, Davis Braun's still within a second, not bad. But I feel like he's got to execute pit road a little better. So the 87 starting to pull a little bit, obviously the cleaner air. Once we get to lap traffic, how will this affect the 87 to Cologne? Will Cologne get held up, allow the 24 to maybe mount one more charge to it? But Braun doesn't really let the 87 drive away. And I think that's good, especially if his long run pace, and we saw in the last run, Braun kind of evened out with Cologne, and sometimes even turning faster laps than Cologne. I think Braun might have the second or third best truck. And I think he's right there with Cologne, but I think he's got to get that track position on him. He's got to get that clean air. And like you said, clean air is king here tonight. Pocono clean air has always been king. But I think tonight it's going to matter here. And I think Braun's got to find a way to get back around. And I'll tell you what, got a great battle for the 5th or the 6th position. Scott Kennedy, Dennis Crosby going out actually the 5th position. Kennedy, man, he's been turning up some really good lap times right now. And he'll go side by side into the tunnel turn. Got to be easy here. Oh, he slides up, making a little bit of contact with the 22 of Crosby. Good battle in there. And, that caution that we've been talking about was there. The lap truck of, I believe that's Jacques Richard. Oh, no, excuse me, that is... who's that behind them? I believe that's Alex Maynard in the 243 behind them. Let these guys go, which I appreciate him doing that. It's a very kind gesture. He's on board. Dennis Crosby breathing a little bit harder, a little smile on his face than when he got away with one there in the tunnel turn. Usually the tunnel turn, one of those turns you never ever want to go side by side in. But Scott Kennedy was willing to make that aggressive move to see if he can get another charge here. So far, like you said, we got like two truck battles. They're breaking away, and then there's like 2 trucks break away, 2 trucks break away, and they just kind of keep the shield a little bit spread out as we close up to start the halfway lap. Cologne has opened up to a 1 second lead at about 1 second flat. And on your screen now, Kyle Smith on the lead lap, still very impressive. But we know how big this track is. This track is absolutely massive. The front stretch, the longest straightaway in NASCAR at about 3,740 feet. You got such a long straightaway that it just kind of, it's so long that it takes so long to get by the front straightaway, and the lap times are so long as well. You don't fall a lap down. Although he's more than a half a lap behind, he hasn't fallen a full lap down. Still in 13th. Obviously, Kyle Smith gonna need a caution.
Yeah, these guys can pit without going a lap down. That's just how big this track is and how long it takes to get around this place. And Kyle Smith now, though, where he's at, he's 40 seconds back, 39.2 seconds back. So he would definitely go a lap down now. But Davis Braun, Miguel Colon, they could both pit and won't lose a lap, which is huge advantage. But kind of speaking on that, Kevin Ayers here, who is the last truck on the lead lap, because this track is so big, the last thing you want to do, you talked about lap traffic earlier that Miguel Colon was going to have to deal with. But I think here at Pocono, lap traffic has to be a little bit more aggressive. And, it depends on the driver. Everybody's different. But if I'm Kevin Ayers and Miguel Colon has blinked out.
He tends to do that sometimes. He might come back. Hopefully he comes back. Oh, well, I don't know if this one's going to do it.
He has not come back. We'll wait and see if we can see from iRace. There he is. He's back. Okay.
He's back. I
Well, I thought we lost
one
him
of
for
those
a
snares.
second, but yeah. So if I'm Kevin Ayers, knowing that if a caution comes out, that I want to fight for these positions, to stay on the lead lap. I mean, I can fight for the lucky dog, but this track is so big that if a caution comes out, it's a big deal to stay on that lead lap. So I think at Pocono you really want to fight hard for that.
You got to be careful, and especially Ayers, he has fresher tires than Cologne, by the way. Can probably stay ahead if he has the pace, but no lucky dogs in this series. So you're going to want to fight for your lap back. And how about another newcomer we haven't really talked about tonight, ahead of Kevin Ayers in 15th, Jack Clark in the 297. He's having himself top 15. Well, started 20th, up into 15th, up 5 positions on the night so far. A little bit, 49 seconds behind Miguel Colon, about a straightaway's worth ahead of Miguel Colon before he gets lapped in about 3 seconds or 2 seconds ahead of Kevin Ayers. So it's good to see Mike Tyler 14th, Jay Dargert in 13th, Kyle Smith 12th, Anthony James, I've talked about him, he's running up at 11th. Tim Collier staying at a solid run top 10. David Anderson, freshest tires of anybody in the top 10 so far, all over Jose Ramirez in the 75 at the moment down the Long Pond straightaway. But David Anderson's been able to, he started in the back and right there, oh man, you can see lost the nose right behind the 75 on the entry of the corner. But noticing that the 78 has had the most speed because of his tire life. And he's been able to
interesting? You know what's interesting about David that I've found so far this season, he's second in the point standings, is that he is so good at putting, like, his racecraft and his racing IQ is so high. I wouldn't say he's the fastest driver. And I think if you looked at the best laps currently, Miguel Colon and Davis Braun have both run 54.8s. That's their best lap. For David Anderson, 55.7. However, I think David Anderson has some of the best racing IQ out of anybody that I've seen in this series so far. And that's why he's at second in points. He's not always the fastest driver, but he is very, very smart when it comes to strategy. He's very smart with how he decides how to run his race and plan it. You don't see him getting in too much trouble, and that is just played so well into his hands as he's battling here. Jose Ramirez trying to fight back, but David Anderson, gives him that, the strategy of going a little bit longer now gives him the ability to be aggressive and have the tire advantage, where Jose Ramirez can't fight back. That's such an important thing there. If they have equal tires, Ramirez can do like some of these guys have done and fight on your outside and hold you up. But David Anderson's got the fresher tires. It's so harder to fight that off. As you see, he's already got, 10 Carlings down the front straightaway.
It's pretty wild. David Anderson's season has reminded me a lot of Kevin Harvick's season this season. And we look at in the Real Cup Series standings, Harvick's, I believe, 5th, 6th in the points, although the playoff format doesn't show that. But Harvick has not had the cars that we're used to see Kevin Harvick have. And he puts together good runs, no matter what, whether it's on strategy or just grinding. And I think that reminds me a lot of David Anderson, a very smart driver when it comes to racing IQ. Might not have the best equipment, might not have, the results that Miguel Colon, he might not have race winning pace, but man, does he grind those results out. Grinds those top 10s, grinds the top 5s. Look at Gateway on strategy. Got a top 5, got a top 3 out of it because of the strategy. And he's putting that Kevin Harvick consistency together. I know it's a short season, but we look at David Anderson, he's just been so good. And if you want to go to a truck series, guy to compare it, Johnny Sauter was always like that. Johnny Sauter always knew how, even though he may not have had the best trucks, but Johnny Sauter knew how to put together the runs that he needed to put together to put himself in position of points. When his championship rivals had a problem, he would get himself in the right spot, get himself a top 5, gain as many points as he could, because that's how you win championships. You don't give up. You stay in the fight no matter where you start, no matter where you finish. And I bet you David Anderson's hoping for a caution, maybe to get some more spots. And Anderson is continuing to be the 2nd, 3rd, 4th best truck and whatever. And it seems like as the race goes on, Anderson gets better and better. No matter where we're at, he just improves. They make adjustments. And to me, if I compare him to anybody, it's been like a Kevin Harvick season to me. Hasn't got that win yet, but it's just been so consistent. And that's what you need to win championship. And Miguel Colon goes out and has two weeks in a row where he might get in a wreck, and especially with Daytona coming up, and David Anderson is able to get a good finish, a top 5 finish, David Anderson can easily creep into the picture of winning a championship.
Yeah, it's such a cool thing about racing. That's why I love racing. I love the ability to you have all different type of approaches to these races. You've got different strategies. You've got guys who play to their strengths. That's sort of the fun thing about it. You know what you're good at. You play to those strengths, and that's how you get the results that you need. So I think David Anderson has definitely shown that he has got an extremely high racing IQ. But somebody I want to talk about, because I want to highlight, I just want to show the cam because it's such a cool setup. Look at the wall there for Tim Collier. Glad to have him on the camera tonight. He's got a nice ultra-wide little curved screen, but look there in the background. Got all his die cast on the wall. I love that. That's a very awesome. Cool setup. He's currently running inside the top 10. He dropped a couple spots from where he started, but that 200 truck is doing just fine. He's about a second behind Jose Ramirez and trying to run him down. Jose's starting to pull away just a little bit, but I just like that setup. I think that's a cool camera angle, and we appreciate him. Yeah, we appreciate him showing that. He even got his name in LEDs over there. I like that. Boy, he's got a big time setup.
I like that. It's really, really cool. Appreciate
where's this been? Why have we had this all season, Tim?
I know. This is awesome. I love it. Love the die-cast. I've got a lot of Hot Wheels die-casts on the wall. Great frames, pictures of old Trans Am cars. If I look at that, it looks like the old Corvette from the early 2000s. Back, if you remember, 01, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Dale Earnhardt Sr. Raced the Rolex 24. It looks like he's might have one of those die-casts up on the wall. But yeah, what a nice setup. Appreciate Tim putting up his camera tonight. And man, it gives you a great perspective of a lot of us sim racers who hop on the sim to have some fun with the guys that you race with. And then usually it's you have your rig set up in your man cave. You got the die-casts on the wall, the pictures, and appreciate Tim putting this up because it's good to see, man. He's got a nice collection of die-casts. Might have to send him a message, see what he's got. But really nice looking setup there.
Well, going back to the lead, Miguel Colon has now stretched that lead out to a 2.3 second lead over Davis Braun. You see Davis coming into the picture there as Miguel Colon going to go down to the inside of Jack Clark, I believe is who that is, who is now going a lap down. So now 14 cars on the lead lap. Miguel Colon starting to pull away. Once he broke the draft of Davis Braun, he has just been able to tiptoe away. He's running 56.3s, Davis Braun 56.5, and the only person able to even get close is Brett Stevens in that third position, but unfortunately still 5.3 seconds back from Miguel Colon. So gonna need a caution or Miguel Colon to have a problem. It's just like a road course, and we've talked about the Razor's Edge. If you miss the corner, if you blink, if you lean back in your chair, close your eyes, or you reach over and grab a drink as you're going through the tunnel turn, you could lose half a second in a heartbeat. And if you get into the groove, you get on the gas a little bit too early, you don't catch the tire starting to wear soon enough, you can find yourself in a push off the corner, hit that wall, and then you're in for a world of hurt. So, we want to kind of mention that the iRacing has improved the damage model on the truck.
They have.
And that's been a huge boost to this particular vehicle in iRacing, which has been pretty frustrating because in the past the trucks were funny where you could get into a big wreck and be missing the whole rear bumper and it drive fine, and then you kind of bump into the wall a little bit and the engine blow. And it was just it was a weird damage model, and they have really improved. So kudos to iRacing for improving that because we saw somebody get into the wall earlier, and it really hasn't affected their truck that much. So definitely big improvements. But I definitely don't want to find out just how that damage model works. So if I'm Miguel Colon, I'm just fighting for perfection, and I got to do it for 30 more laps.
Yeah, and I tell you what, well, the damage model, we talk about it. iRacing did a great job of modeling it right because, like you said, with the way the old damage model, we called it more paper mache than a damage model, where you hit the wall, and it's sort of realistic. You hit the wall in the truck, could cause some issues aerodynamically. But man, you'd look at the wall, you look at another truck bar, and it was over. You wouldn't be able, even if you got it fixed, you wouldn't have the speed anymore. It was just gone. And with the way this damage model has done it, you can, brush the wall your way. You can't hit it, And obviously you can't hit it in real life and get away with it unless it's the next gen car. And I'll tell you what, I'll give iRacing a lot of credit. Damage Ball's great on the trucks. I really like it. As we're on board with Mike Tyler, just got around Anthony James for 12, having a solid run, so it's good to see. But you want to talk about tanks, the next generation cars, man. Those cars are absolutely just, you hit somebody and it's fine. I mean, you could absolutely slam somebody and the car doesn't, you don't see any damage. You might see a scratch. Even in real life, I mean, you look at this year, even at POCONO, Kyle Larson got in an incident in the first, I think, 40 laps of the race, came back and had a shot to win. Honestly, had the car to beat at the end, just late race restart, got put in the fence by Denny Hamlin. And unfortunately, obviously, that sparked a whole lot of drama within the Cup Series garage. But, you know, these cars can absolutely, and in the trucks even as well, but the way this damage model works on iRacing, it's very good, and I'm very happy to see how iRacing has improved this simulator and this game, and how it's gotten better and better, especially when it comes to the vehicles that we're driving, you know, for fun. We want realism, but we also want a little give, like they do in real life. You know, in real life, we see guys get in an incident, put some bear bond on it, and they come back out, and they're still good. And I think that's good to have. In this what we're doing here, I know you can't put bear bond on the trucks like you would in real life and in this on your computer, but I think it's good that we still have a model that is a little bit more realistic than what we had before.
Yeah, well, I think we could give iRacing a break for a little while and talk a little bit more about this action as Mike Tyler is up to seven positions here. Just been slowly working his way similar to David Anderson. So we've seen him been able to make some moves. Yeah, and trying to make his way into the top 10. And speaking of David Anderson, he's finally got by Michael Parker. So he moved himself up into the 7th position, and it's perfect because, you know, maybe his tires start to wear out to the point where everybody else is. But guess what we're about to do? We're about to have pit stops coming up soon. So everybody getting ready to make their final pit stops. So David Anderson on the he's running the 3rd fastest lap times at the moment. So who will come down pit road first? I'm interested to see if Davis Braun doesn't come down a little bit quicker, Miguel, just like he did before. And just right there it is. He comes down pit road right on cue. So Davis Braun shows his cards and says, "Hey, I'm ready to make my final pit stop." Now the scary thing is. Well, the scary thing is David Anderson's got the extra little bit, so he can stay out a little bit longer. And if a caution comes out, David Anderson's going to be sitting pretty. So Davis Braun doing a risky move. I think it's the right move. I don't think he has any other choice if he's going to win this race, just because we haven't seen much, issues that cause a caution. So Davis Braun going to need to get down on pit road, get down there a lot better than he did last time, and get off pit road and try to kind of get close to Miguel Colon here.
And I want to point out something, too. Smart move. Miguel Colon is in heavy lap traffic now. It's really hurting his lap time. And he's by Jay Darger. He's by Anthony James. Does he bring it down pit road this time? I think he would have to. Oh, no, he stays out. He stays out another lap. Wow. Interesting. This traffic is really going to hurt him. He turned a 56.7 last lap. This time, a 57.2. Yeah. This could be exactly what Davis Braun is needing here for Miguel to struggle in this lap traffic. Maybe get held up just in this corner to turn 1.
Yeah,
overdrive his entry.
If you're Davis Braun, you better go out there and you better lay down the fastest lap that you can.
You got to lay down some hot laps.
Huh?
Qualifying laps for the 24 car. I think you got to just turn them as hard as you can, make up as much time. No draft, unfortunately. Brett Stevens as well actually lost a little bit there. But Davis Braun, remember, he had a 43-second pit entry. That time was a 41.3. Gained 2 seconds on his pit road entry in a matter of 2 pit stops. I think he learned a lot on what he could have gained better. Now, I'm curious to see Miguel Colon. Doesn't have any more traffic ahead of him. Could turn a better lap, but I think you got to see. I got to think he's bringing it in here this time by. He will. I'm just curious to see how much time did he lose. We talk about it being about 40 seconds into pit road and pit stop. This time by, Davis Braun's only 33 seconds behind, so there could be a possibility.
It's going to be close. I cannot
Miguel
wait to see
Colon
what
getting
Davis
past here.
Yeah, it's going to be extremely, extremely close. I think Davis Braun pulled a great strategy move there. If he can come out with the lead, I think that'll be, that'll be amazing. Right now, he's going down long in the lead.
No, he's going into turn 3 now.
Going in turn 3. Yeah, it's going to be extreme.
See, Cologne left sides get jacked up, and then they drop the jack. He's out of pit road, but he's got a little bit to go. And right now, Cologne's going to come out with a 40.9, so still about a second faster. But remember, Davis Braun is up at full speed. I think he's going to get by Miguel Colon. He will.
There he goes.
The 24 cycles to the front, but now Cologne with 2 lap fresher tires is going to be able to charge. But Braun cannot lose the lap. He can't lose time in this lap traffic. He needs to get by quick, and then he's going to have to fight off this 87.
Yeah, I mean,
good strategy there.
That's what he had to do. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it was perfect timing with the lap traffic. I mean, Miguel stayed out another lap, maybe a little bit. I'm not really sure why. Oh my goodness, the lap traffic gets
right in front of him.
Yeah, right in front of Miguel Colon. He had to really check up there. So I gotta applaud Davis Braun. That was his only shot. I mean, Miguel has been a little bit faster all throughout the beginning and end of runs. So this is his Hail Mary coming down and trying to get that track position. He nailed it. Impressive.
His worst case scenario would be a caution coming out right now. I mean, honestly, it could help either or. But I think a caution coming out now, it would, if you run 5, 6, 7, 8 laps, a caution comes out, you're going to be in a weird spot. You're going to love to be in David Anderson, Scott Kennedy, who if they can stretch this out a few more laps, they'll have fresher tires than everybody here. But you got to be careful, especially for Davis Braun. You got to pick and choose your way through the lap cars. You got to carve through them the right way. I think we could be setting up for a good finish with 20 to go. And any changes on that pit stop that Davis Braun was able to make that truck better so he can hold off Miguel Colon. I'll tell you what, Colon, he's losing a little bit of time right now. Colon had clean air that last time. Braun now has the clean air. This could be a good battle shaping up for the win. Hopefully they'll race each other with some respect, but hard and clean. And I think we might be set up for an interesting run here, especially as this run gets longer on. We know Cologne's truck gets better, but this run is going to be significantly less laps than the last 2 runs. The last 2 runs were 28 and 32 laps. This was only going to be 24 laps.
Yeah. We've seen Miguel Colon has really shown his hand. We know what he's got. Now it's on Davis Braun. I mean, he's done everything that he could possibly do. I mean, the first pit stop could have been a lot better. He could have gotten off a lot better, and he improved on that the second time. Now it's, can he hold off Miguel Colon for 20 laps? I think that's a tough ask because he's losing time at the moment. Miguel is 3 tenths faster than last lap. Because what's interesting about this tire model, there's plateaus. So you run about 3 laps, and then the grip will fall off. It's a plateau, it falls off, and then plateaus, and then you run 6 laps, and then plateaus over time to drop off. So what's going to happen is Davis Braun is going to fall down to the next run of that plateau before Miguel Colon does. So Miguel will be able to try to make up a little bit of that time. So Davis Braun's going to have to be really smart and just manage that the best that he can, and hope that he can hold off Miguel Colon.
And here's Davis Braun's best friend. Look ahead of him. There's nobody really ahead of him. He's got clean air. He's just got to hold on to it. But Colon is so fast down the straightaway. He's got straightaway speed and has corner speed. But I think Colon, you're going to have to see him do, and I hate to say it, he's going to have to mirror drive. And he's going to have to take the air away from the 87 truck. That is going to be his best friend, giving dirty air to the 87 truck. Make the 87 truck have to work his front tires a little bit harder, work this truck a little bit harder. But man, that 87 truck gets such a big run. He's in the draft, but look at him close up to the back bumper of the 24 truck. He'll probably look to the inside. Here comes Miguel Colon looking for the lead. Braun, he's going to have to fight him. He'll charge hard into the outside corner. Going to have to pinch the 87 off the corner. But the 87 going to be able to stick there. Will he pull him back down the front stretch? Braun has the momentum off the corner. Now the 87 going to try to get a little bit closer to that quarter panel. He does. He's starting to side draft that 24 truck into the tunnel turn.
Yeah, as they go down into the tunnel turn, and man, Davis Braun really drives it into the corner, but Miguel gets such a better drive through the middle and get the run that he needs, and he's going to clear him.
There it is.
Slid up right in front of him, going down into turn 3. And I think for Davis Braun, I think he did everything he could, but Miguel Colon today, just like pretty much every week, is just going to be a little bit too much for him, as Miguel's already going to pull away by 2 tenths.
Some guys still haven't brought it to pit road. David Anderson hasn't brought it to pit road. Michael Parker has not brought it to pit road. Michael Tyler, Scott Kennedy, I believe, has just brought it in. So Kevin Ayers as well. Obviously, 20 or 18 laps, there's still plenty of time for a caution to come out and would really make this race interesting. Speaking of a lot of action here, look at Kyle Smith, Jose Ramirez, Kevin Ayers going at it. There's still plenty of trucks on the track where there could be a caution. I know Miguel Colon definitely doesn't want to see one. David Anderson, Michael Parker, those guys would love a caution anytime within the next 2 or 3 laps so they can make it within their fuel window so they don't run out of fuel under caution. So.
Or they would have a tire advantage. They would have almost 10-lap tire advantage, which would be great. So if I'm if I'm any of those guys that are still out on track, I'm waiting as long as I possibly can.
For a caution too.
Yeah, caution would be huge for somebody like David Anderson. So, and we've already seen that happen for him, where he had the tire running them down, wearing them out, just ran out of time a little bit. So.
Yeah.
If that happens, that'd be big. But just haven't seen this. Everybody's truck seems to be pretty stable. Haven't seen anybody be out of shape, like we've seen in some other tracks. So I think it's going to be a tough ask to hope for a caution here tonight.
Yeah, this field is so spread out. And shout out to these guys, 63 laps straight with no cautions. That's very interesting.
It's awesome,
and great. It's great, man. This race has kind of flown by within the last hour and 10 minutes, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, just a little bit over that. Yeah. It's been a little bit less as far as the race goes. So just right at an hour here at 63 laps. I mean, that's impressive.
Parker bringing it in as well for his last stop of the night. And even then, with these fresher tires, caution comes out. These guys still have an advantage over everybody. Obviously, you don't want to have a heat cycle, but it's still good to, have 5, 6, 7, 8 lap fresher tires to help it. Is on board with Dennis Crosby, who's currently running in the...
It's battle for position. That's
position.
Mike Tyler. He's
Mike
got
Tyler.
25 lap fresher tires than Mike, who is...
Should be no problem.
Yeah. No doubt about it.
And Dennis Crosby now moves up to the 5th. Crosby's had a solid night. Started in 4th, started in 3rd. He's ran about, 4th or 5th most of this race, so still a solid run. And as well, Brian Chabelski having himself a good run as well. So
yeah, Dennis Crosby technically is in the top 5. David Anderson yet to make his pit stop. So once that happens, Dennis Crosby having a nice top 5 run here. He hasn't had.
Anderson's hoping for a caution here, from what I can tell.
Dennis really hasn't had the speed of Brett Stevens, Davis Braun, Miguel Colon, but he's been right there with them. I'd be interested to see if a caution does come out, what he could do on a restart with fresh tires, or I guess he wouldn't have fresh tires, but be interested to see what he could do on a restart, and because we know how aggressive he can be, and how many what kind of moves he can make on somebody, especially in that type of scenario. So I'd be interested to see.
Sorry to cut there. I think of all the guys that we have so far running in this. Scott Kennedy, with the freshest tires of anybody right now in the top 10 that's pitted. Kennedy's been faster than Crosby and Chabelski the last 2 runs. He just obviously hasn't been able to run them down, but he's gained a significant amount of time. A caution, I'd be interested to see what that 03 could do. But even then, I think you look at the 87 and the 24 and the 86, I think they've been the class of the field. I think especially, obviously, we know the 87. Just so it's interesting to see if we get a caution coming out, especially like I think Mike Tyler, who's just bringing it into pit road. You're going to have it's going to be interesting if we get a caution, especially David Anderson. I think David Anderson would be the big one to circle here, as he's finally bringing it down pit road here. If we get a caution, could definitely spice this race up a little bit. Top 10, only 9 trucks on the lead lap right now.
Yeah, I mean, so for David Anderson, I mean, he's going to come down pit road, and he's going to come out, and he's still probably going to be in the top 10, I would think. It's going to be close. But,
it'll be close.
But not a bad way of doing it. He's going to have, 14 laps or so to get it done. And
he'll be on full attack.
Tires on the field. So, I mean, for David Anderson, he's going to have I think it's going to be a lot of fun for him, as he's going to try to get up to the field.
I think I got bad news about David Anderson. Speeding on pit road.
Oh, no. Oh my goodness, we were talking about his racecraft and race IQ, and it comes down and has a speed penalty. Oh, and that's killer. That's 40 seconds.
That is unfortunately a big killer.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's unfortunate, and it cost him a few positions and maybe a couple points as Michael Parker trying to get that lap back. Obviously, he's one of those guys hoping for a caution right now. Caution comes out. If he could keep this lap here, Miguel Colon isn't really appreciating him racing, but Parker's also racing for his race. If a caution comes out, he's going to be looking in a really good spot here. If he can get by the 87, he's got to make quick work of him, especially if a caution comes out anytime soon. This field is so spread out. I don't know if we're going to get a caution. Oh man, that 87. I've noticed about the 87. That truck is so yawed out in the corners. It's got a little more. The right rear seems to be sticking out a little bit more compared to everybody's. But just obviously we know the speed. I think he's wheeling that truck a lot, but it seems to be helping.
Well, I tell you, at this track,
Michael Parker at the moment.
At this track, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'd rather be yawed out than I would be pushing off the corner.
Oh,
you can see right there in turn one. Miguel Colon actually does kind of push up the track, and so what happens is when you drive down and say like the tunnel turn and you get on the gas too early, what happens is you don't realize what's happening until it's too late, and all of a sudden that front end is sailing up towards the wall, and if you lift, it only makes the issue worse. So you have to actually get off the gas and really jam on the brakes and get that thing to yaw off the corner using the brake bias to get that thing to rotate and not hit the wall. So it's sketchy. I would much rather have that right rear hanging out off the corners than I would trying to sail that front end. So anytime I can go to Pocono and I can burn off that right rear any way I can, that's what I'm doing, because I want to be spinning out, and I want to spin out down in that that asphalt area right there where there's no wall, then go up and hit and tear up your right front. So I think we're seeing the benefits of that because Miguel has just been faster than everybody.
Yeah, and Pocono is one of those tracks where it's good that they have the paved surface, right? But man, I'll tell you what, Pocono's had some really, really bad crashes within the last few years. I mean, this year, Austin Dillon getting turned by Tyler Reddick into turn one and absolutely slamming the wall. I feel like there was a pretty hard truck race or wreck here a few years ago as well. Xfinity had a hard wreck with, I believe it was Justin Haley. It was Pocono's a really fast track, and it's had some really bad wrecks. We know why IndyCar obviously decided to stop going here is because of how fast this track was. Obviously, IndyCar's much different than the stock cars. IndyCar's going about 240 into the corners. But this track's so fast. This track, man, there's some hard hits they could take in here. Now by Anthony James and I believe that's Jay Darker going out of here for 11th.
Yeah, they were bumping and banging off of turn 3 there, and blocking and all kinds of stuff. So the caution may come out just yet, so we'll see. But these two have been racing pretty hard the last couple of laps. We'll kind of stay here to see if that devolves into anything. You see the difference in line. You see how Jay kind of missed the entry to the tunnel turn, and just a run that Anthony James gets. Anthony actually puts him right there. So odd to see somebody not to get a run and not take it. That's pretty odd. So I guess I'm back here having just a good old time.
They are 10 laps to go on the board as Miguel Colon crosses the line looking for 2 straight wins in a row and extending that points lead. And I know we haven't had a caution here tonight, but want to thank our sponsors here who bring the Champions Motorsports Truck Series to you. IRTES, powered by Champions Motorsports, as well as the Champions Circle for VIP Discord subscriptions to get great perks and special benefits. And of course, the Storm Gang Simulations group as well. They do the in-house.
Oh, the wreck!
Oh,
there it is! Caution's out!
James and Jay Darger go around!
Oh my goodness!
And boy, does this change things up. The 216
everything
into the wall. And it only wonders what could have been for David Anderson, who got a speeding penalty. And the first caution of the night, as we read off the sponsors because there weren't any, the first caution comes out to the night for the night with less than 10 laps to go. And boy, oh boy, does this change everything. Let's get a replay here. The drone cam, you see side by side Anthony James, Jay Darger. I think he thought he cleared him, and I'm afraid he wasn't clear. Gets turned off the front nose of the 57, and Anthony James ends up hard nose first into the outside wall. And boy, oh boy, do we get a restart probably with less than 5 or less laps to go.
I can't believe it.
I don't know tires.
I think it's funny that we even mentioned it, that it was possible. Maybe the caution comes here because these guys were racing hard, and unfortunately, it just looked like it looked like Anthony
Obviously.
James was trying to be slick and cut right in front of Jay, and unfortunately Jay still had a nose in there.
Yeah,
But
and obviously something Miguel Colon did not want to see.
Yeah, I mean, he still got the lead. I mean, honestly, it's the best thing that could have happened for him because of David Anderson and those guys who didn't get to take advantage of staying out like that. So there's no danger. Michael Parker is in ninth with about 6 lap fresher tires. I don't think he's had the speed, and I don't think he's got enough to get up there and pass Miguel. So I feel like Miguel, as far as the different strategies and stuff going on, he's still got to feel pretty good. He's going to have control of the restart. He's been the fastest truck all night. I know I'm supposed to build drama, but honestly, I feel like Miguel Colon is still got this thing in the bag.
I think he's definitely got it, but he's got to hit this restart right. Can't miss the corner. Man, you got to remember, these tires have been on a heat cycle now. How is your truck? Your truck's going to drive a lot different on these restarts. And we wonder, what about Brett Stevens, who we talked about had a lot of good pace like Miguel Colon did, but really fell back and never was able to showcase it. Now he gets a chance. And how could we forget Dennis Crosby, Scott Kennedy, the freshest tires of the guys inside the top 10? Do they have, or the top 10, do they have anything? And I think the big key here, Michael Parker, he's got the fresh tires of anybody in the top 9 of the trucks that are on the lead lap. What can that do for him?
Yeah, I mean, he could probably make it up into the top 5, but I'm just interested to know what Davis Braun has got on a restart. Brett Stevens is really, really fast, and he's a smart race car driver. He'll start behind Miguel Colon, so that will give him sort of an advantage over Davis Braun. Davis Braun actually in the worst position, if I'm honest, because he's going to be waiting around for Miguel Colon to go, where Brett Stevens can get right on the back bumper and will have that advantage and maybe even inside track on Davis Braun. So if I'm Brett Stevens, I'm going to be right on the back bumper of that 87. I'm going to be leaning on him, and as soon as he goes, I'm going to go, and I'm going to try to get a run, and if I can, get down to the inside, because I think once they get down in turn 1, if nobody's beside Miguel, I'm just not sure if anybody's got anything for him. I think that clean air will just be too strong. So if I'm Brett Stevens, I am going to try to put as much pressure on that 87 truck as I possibly can. And Davis Braun, like I said, I don't know what the strategy is for Davis Braun other than you try to guess the restart and sort of jump it. That's one thing about the second place in iRacing that I wish more people would try is, if you jump the restart, you do get a black flag. If you beat the leader to the line, you get a black flag. But the leader has such an advantage that if you can time it just right and you could stay on that right rear quarter going down in turn 1, I think you might have a shot at it. So if you're Davis Braun, you really want to win, maybe he's ready to roll the dice and try something a little risky. But either way, this caution has really amped up the excitement here at the end.
It really has. As the pace truck lights are off, we'll get a restart with 6 to go. I don't believe there's green-white is there green-white checkers?
Yeah, I believe there's one, yeah.
One green-white checkered, so there's still a possibility that we can get a overtime restart here. Only 9 trucks on the lead lap of Miguel Colon, who's been the class of the field all night, was able to pull about 2.5 seconds on Davis Braun, but that caution with Anthony James, Jay Dargert, changes things here with going to be 6 laps to go. Double file, doubled up down the backstretch, down Long Pond straightaway. Man, this is going to be interesting to see if anybody, Brett Stevens, Davis Braun, Brian Shabelski, have anything for this 87 truck of Miguel Colon.
I mean, if you've been waiting around for your opportunity, this is it. So if, like you said, if you're those drivers in the second, third rows, now's the time. But I think what happens normally in these races, and we'll see how it plays out, those drivers will get battling each other. And like I said, the big thing is work together here, because if you let Miguel Colon get that clean air and be single file, it's going to be extremely
It's going to be tough.
So they're going to have to work together and not fight each other too hard if they all want to have a shot at winning this thing. The draft is going to be huge once they get about a lap in, so we'll see.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Pace truck will pull off, make the left-hander into pit road. The field will be in the hands of Miguel Colon and Davis Braun into the Geico restart zone. 6 laps to go from the tricky triangle. Back underway we go. Cologne doesn't get a great restart. Braun stays even. Brett Stevens and Shabelski get a good restart. They fan out.
Yeah, here we go.
Here comes Brett Stevens.
Here we go, 3 wide for the lead. He did it. Oh, Miguel had a horrible restart.
3 wide. And look at this, still
Braun
3 wide.
up
Turn
the
number 1.
track.
Braun goes wide. They all go wide. Down Cologne, able to get the lead up.
He cleared it.
Braun shoving him down the backstretch. Down Long Pond straightaway. Cologne takes the lead again. Braun, Stevens side by side. How about Kyle Smith back into the top 5 here at Pocono?
How did he do that? How did he do that? He completely botched the restart.
Man.
Davis Braun had everything he needed. Brett Stevens down on the inside, and if he doesn't come out with the dang lead, and let's not forget Kyle Smith. Oh, they have contact. Dennis Crosby goes into the wall.
Turn 3, big hit there. Another restart, and we'll do it again.
Man, Dennis Crosby goes around. He was sitting there backwards, falls all the way back to the 9th position. And we'll get him off camera. I don't want to. I want to give him the freedom to say what he needs to say. We don't want any lip readers out there. Yeah, man, we'll talk about the wreck as soon as I get it.
That was wild.
Put together. But I'm so impressed. I'm super impressed with Miguel Cologne because he was pretty much in huge trouble and comes out with that lead. Let's go back and check that replay here with Dennis Crosby.
Wow.
And you're going to see Jose Ramirez down on the inside.
Oh, Scott Kennedy. Yeah, a little contact with Scott Kennedy there. 3 wide. Tried to give the 75 some room. And it just the 03's nose was there. It kind of tightens up, bottles into 3. It looks like Kennedy's there enough. And contact seemed to be inevitable, and a hard hit again into turn number 3 into the safer barrier. Yeah. And I want to go look at that restart. Absolute insanity there. 3 wide for the lead. Stevens did a phenomenal job being able to time that restart. Cologne and Braun didn't really get going. And Stevens absolutely took off, got, I think, better reaction time than all of them. And look at the run he got. We know how wide this front straightaway is. Cologne really had no answer for it. And then into turn 1, 3 wide for the lead. It looked like Stevens was going to have the advantage. Cologne did a phenomenal job backing up his entry and getting into the gas sooner than everybody. You can see Stevens got a little loose there. And, by inches, the 87 cleared the 24. The 24 had no other option than to just push the 87. And you can see all those marbles up there too. That line hasn't really ran. And look at that, inches. The 87 clears in front, and he'll get by just the nose.
That was the move. If Miguel Cologne didn't clear him like he did, Braun was going to have a massive run off that top side. So,
oh yeah.
He threaded the needle there. A little bit too late, and he's like Dennis Crosby, turning right into the wall. So, wow, just impressive. Miguel Cologne completely, he botched that restart. There's no doubt about it. There's no question. He completely screwed that restart up, but then just had raw ability there in the middle, 3 wide, to come out with that and block Davis Braun, and that's all he needed to do. So,
I think he'll be able
really impressive.
I think he'll be able to probably get a better start after this, or I think he'll know what to do better. What we could be looking at here, and also I need to remind us, there are no green-white checkers, so this will be the last restart under regulation, which will bring us to either a 2-lap shootout or a 1-lap shootout. Will all depend on when the pace truck lights will go off. Could be a 1-lap shootout. Don't count that out.
Yeah.
Be very interesting to see here as Miguel Cologne now. It doesn't. He had speed there, was able to get through 1. Does Braun try to time it a little bit better? How about a new player in this as well? Brian Shabelski in the 85 has moved up to 3rd. And how about Kyle Smith into 5th? Jose Ramirez is in this. Scott Kennedy, who got a little piece of that incident there. Michael Parker, Dennis Crosby's got that truck fixed up with the fast repair. So this is going to be interesting to see. We'll have another restart. It'll all depend when the pace truck lights will go off. Should set us up, I would assume, for a 2-lap shootout here as Cologne driving inside the pace truck. But man,
we'll talk a little bit about Kyle Smith. What a great recovery.
Yeah.
We were talking about David Anderson having that wherewithal and ability to finish races and stuff, but Kyle Smith, with that speeding penalty early, just stayed in it with the caution as fast as he is. I mean, he's sitting in the top 5. I mean, anything can happen up here. I mean, we've that was 3 wide for the lead. I'm surprised Brett Stevens wasn't a little bit more aggressive. I think he was a little bit too nice in that moment. But I think this time, nice may go out the window. And I think
it's
if
going to be a lot harder.
If he doesn't have it, if he has the same restart he had before, I don't think he makes it out of turn 1 like he did last time. So
I don't think so.
Yeah, so he's going to have to get a great restart. But I'm interested to see what these guys can do. I still like that 3rd position. I think Brett Stevens was in the best spot there. I did not expect Davis Braun to get as good a jump as he did, so I was really impressed. But
it's going to be interesting.
I think that 3rd place position is just really, really strong. I think Zabelski, if he can get a run on Miguel down the front straightaway into 1 and maybe make something happen, I think he's got a good shot.
I think Davis Braun might be in the conversation because remember, Champion Motorsports rules, caution comes out first lap of the restart, single file restart for the next restart. So now
that's kind of a bummer.
It's up to Davis Braun. Unfortunately, it is, but it is rules. So if Braun can time the restart a little bit better, now remember, he's not going to be next to him. He could time it a little bit better, try to jump a little bit, not jump egregiously, but jump enough to get that run, get that draft down the straightaway, and then just send it into the corner and hope that it sticks. I think that's his best shot. Obviously, single file restart is Miguel Colon's best friend. It's got more control over it. But Davis Braun, nonetheless, will have a chance. And if these two do get side by side, maybe rub fenders, what does that open the door for Brian Zabelski, which will be 2 laps to go of regulation. Caution ends the race, white flag or checkered ends the race. Pace truck back down to pit road. 2-lap shootout from the tricky triangle. Miguel Colon back onto the gas. Great restart. Braun won't be able to get it, but Colon doesn't really hit that second gear shift. He's going to shake the draft down the front stretch. Braun, another run. He'll look low, now looks back high. Colon cannot cover. And now Braun to the outside, but Colon going to have the power. Will he be able to? Braun sends it in hard. Colon back into the throttle. Colon slides at the racetrack, but now it's up to Braun, who's got to run down Long Pond straightaway. Does he have anything for Miguel Colon? They fan out down the back.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to do it soon. He's got to make his move. I was so surprised to see him go that far up the track. Miguel just had such a... No, Miguel's in the wall. Miguel got into the wall there.
He's in the wall. Does that affect any bit of damage? Does that affect him? Now Braun having to try to mount another charge down the front stretch off of turn number 3. Miguel Colon sees the one. Again! They're both to the wall. Braun with the run. Here comes Brian Zabelski. 1 to go. Braun to the inside.
Zabelski's got a huge run. He's got a huge run.
Into turn number 1, Eddie. Oh, look at this, Eddie now. Zabelski up the track. Braun up the track. Colon up the track.
Braun Stevens going low.
Zabelski with the red. Here comes Stevens and Smith.
Davis Braun takes over the top spot, but what does Zabelski have?
Yeah,
he's going to look down to the inside. Final lap, white
to
flag.
the inside, side by side into the tunnel turn.
Davis Braun drives it in there. Oh, let's go.
Braun up the racetrack. Zabelski back in line. Braun holds on to the lead.
They knocked down the wall last
lap. For
lap.
the final time. Down Colon into the wall again. Off of turn number 3. Braun with the lead. And off of turn 4, off of turn number 3, he'll kick the lead. And now down the front stretch, Davis Braun, a restart and a half to win it at Pocono. Zabelski second, Colon third, but Davis Braun wins it at Pocono.
Unbelievable.
What a finish.
That is awesome. And those guys were driving their guts out there. All of them clobbering the wall off 3 there, clobbering the wall off of the tunnel turn. I mean, they were racing their guts out. And, man, if Davis Braun didn't just so impressive. So impressive.
These boys never disappointed. How
well, you
about
know we
got to
go back and watch that. You know we got to go back and watch that.
We got to go back.
Yeah.
What a win. What a restart. And it seemed like Miguel just he couldn't hit the shifts up through the gears, allowed Braun to get to the outside, and I thought personally, off of 1, it was over. I didn't think Braun had anything for him. And he had a run, but it just wasn't enough. And you'll see it in the tunnel turn. He backed off to make sure that Colon overdrove it, it seemed. He got the wall, and he still had the lead.
Yeah, Miguel gets the wall there. I think Miguel would have had a better run into the tunnel turn, but he hit the wall off of one, and then they're going to hit the wall again.
There hits the wall again, and then Braun has a run, but it's just not enough, and it looks like Cologne had it again. And then off the three, he makes the only mistake that cost him anything. He slams the wall off of turn number 3. Braun gets it too. But look at how much momentum Braun had. And then look at Brian Shabelski in the 85 taking him 3 wide. A move that, insanity, absolute insanity. Into turn 1, these guys send it as hard as they can. Cologne's got the damage. Here comes Stevens and Kyle Smith as well. You can never count these guys out. And then down the back stretch, Shabelski gets that run. He's got an air push from the 87 of Miguel Cologne. And then into turn number 2, into the tunnel turn, the hardest corner to go side by side in. Shabelski able to hold on.
Yeah,
and Braun got the run
just
off.
a massive, just a big dingling move there in the tunnel turn on the outside. They would hold off Shabelski there, and that was the move of the race if there was one. Because what an incredible drive. On old tires. These are not new tires. They're 25-lap old tires, and Braun just drives it down into the tunnel turn and holds off Shabelski. Just incredible, man. What a great way to cap off this race. Unbelievable.
What a night, as they say sometimes, truck night in America, if you so will. Man, did these boys put on a show here from the Pocono Raceway. Davis Braun gets his first win of the season, first career win in the Championship Motorsports Truck Series. And, he's celebrating on the front stretch. How about we pull in our third? Should we start with our winner? Should we start with the third place?
Yeah, let's talk to Miguel Cologne.
Let's talk to Miguel Cologne,
I know he's probably very disappointed. But I do want to talk to him. I know he's got to be disappointed.
He's probably not too happy. Obviously, starts 13th, leads the most laps, gets home third. I don't think he's gotten out of the truck yet. Still a little upset. So let's see. How about we get our second? Eddie, how about you get second? Or how about I get Brian, and then when Miguel comes back in, you'll get him here before we get to our winner, Davis Braun. Brian Shabelski, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, buddy, you drove your heart out those last 2 laps after Davis Braun and Miguel Cologne got into the wall off of turn number 3. You had the run. What more did you maybe need to get by the 24?
I think I just had to throw it on the outside of the tunnel turn. I did that in the restart before that, and I got past Brett doing that. So I think I tried to go to the bottom there and see if I can make it stick. And then I think there's just too much momentum on the running on that top seam there. So if I'd done that, maybe I would have been close enough. But Davis was quick all night, so it was going to be tough to get by him anyways. Just trying to get by him without turning him too. So you never want to do that. You never want to wreck somebody.
For sure. And again, a second place finish, your best result of the year, I believe. Next week, it's a worn out racetrack out at Homestead Miami Speedway. How do you feel about going out there?
I'm not really a big fan of Homestead. I never really seemed to run well there. So hopefully I can pick something up here the next week or so and try and figure that out. So, but it's a good track. I like the track. I just have to figure out how to kind of be consistent there.
For sure. And you come home second place here. A great race. Absolutely had us on the edge of our seats. A phenomenal race. Maybe the best race of this season, Brian. Appreciate you contributing to it. But before we let you go, is there anybody you want to give a shout out to tonight?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Big shout out, of course, to the team at McConey Setup Shop, official setup shop of eNASCAR. And this truck was flying tonight because of that setup that they had. I don't really got to say anything else. I don't think I would have been up front if it wasn't for the team there, Jeff and William and everyone who puts these together and really gets a good set together. SM Racing, Garrett and Jeremy do a really good job with the button boxes that I use. Really appreciate it. And of course, David for doing all the hard work, getting everything all organized. And my teammates, Tim and Chris. Chris, unfortunately, had he bowed out because he loaded the wrong setup in. So that's why he was struggling so much at the start there. But good old run for Can-Am, and hopefully next week we'll have a good run too.
For sure. Well, Brian, congratulations on the second place finish. We will talk to you next week, hopefully once again at the Homestead Miami Speedway. So have a wonderful evening.
You too. Thank you so much, guys.
No problem. Have a good one, brother. That's your second place finisher, Brian Shabelski. Now Eddie's caught down to our third place finisher, Miguel Colon.
Miguel, this is Eddie in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy.
Well, I know you're disappointed. I appreciate you laughing. That's a good sport. Man, I'm going to highlight your race. I'm going to do your talking for you. And then because you started in the 13th position, did not have a good qualifying effort. But you drove up through the field all the way up to second, had a great entry and exit on pit road, a great stop, and come out with the lead. And it was your race at that point to lose. Davis Braun had a really nice pit stop on the last one and was able to get out in front of you, but you quickly got right back by him. But all that being said, tell me what your thoughts were whenever that caution came out.
Well, I knew I had probably like two laps fresh tires and the guys behind. I was pulling away from them in the last run because I knew that they push hard early in their stint to try to catch up with me since I stay out 2 more laps. But at the end, a little frustrated with those two. Like the first caution, I could get it, but like then the second one quickly, like it was like after I saw my first restart in the first one, which it was not a bad restart. It's just like the guys got a better run on me with the draft and everything through that corner. I was like, I'm in no man's land basically with the draft. And then I made that mistake coming out of turn 3 to try to get a good run, to avoid getting caught up with draft and the guys. I brushed the wall a little bit, but then like it was like a magneto. Like I hit the wall with the back section of the truck, and then the front of the truck, like it went to the wall. That was it. That was over there. Hard to overcome that mistake. But like you say, not great qualifying. I didn't practice for qualifying setup. Truck was super loose in qualifying. And then when I saw the lap time of the guys, I was like, okay, it's gonna be a long race. We're gonna have fun driving through the people. My pace, I knew was probably near the good guys. When I was able to drive up to close to the leader in the first run, and then coming out the pit stop, I was actually watching more for Brett.
May have lost Miguel. He'll come back in just a second. So, but yeah, he was talking about missing. He was watching out for Brett. So he just. Are you back, hello? Miguel?
Yeah, you hear me?
Okay, yeah. We just lost you for a few seconds. You were talking about you were looking out for Brett after that pit stop.
Yeah, because he was coming with me in the first run, and he was very close to me behind. So I was like, okay, I was able to cut up to Davis, but Brett was catching me at the end of that thing. So when I came out of the pit stop, I was more worried about him with the good pace that he had in the long run that David, because I felt comfortable like probably could outdrive him in my long run. But then I don't know what happened with Brett. I don't know if he did any adjustment or something in his truck that I may not have no help with. I was able to keep that pace. I felt very comfortable. It's like, okay, easy win, we're going to get it. But then, that didn't happen. This is racing.
Yeah, well, I mean, that I got to give you a ton of props on that first restart after the first caution. That ability to, you just didn't have the best of restarts, and they got, a run and got 3 wide on you. And you were able to clear Davis Braun off of 1. I mean, just an impressive drive in the middle when I thought, oh, he's in big trouble. Just an amazing drive there. And then of course, we know what happened in the second. You still was able to clear him, but just having to push so hard, especially on all those older tires, and got into the wall. But Miguel, you still had a fantastic race. Obviously, the bell of the ball just came up a little bit short. But you had a massive points lead coming into this race, and this only is going to extend that points lead, in my opinion. So you got to feel good, even though you didn't get this win. Third place finish, especially the way that played out at the end, nothing to sneeze at. So congratulations on that. And as always, man, we give you a floor for any shout-out sponsors, friends, family.
Yeah, this was a very fun race, and thank you for the guys in CMAs, you guys putting all this together. I really had a blast. I didn't have too many high expectations. Made it to the front. Common third is still a good position to finish for the points in the championship. Shout out to Sim Racing PR, the community in Puerto Rico for Sim Racing, and then my sponsor, John Sergio Machine Shop too. So thank you guys. I guess Alex today won't say, "Oh, Miguel the Max Verstappen," it lost.
Well, even Max Verstappen has bad days every once in a while. So, hey, poor Miguel finishes in third place. I just feel terrible for him. So
terrible.
Yeah, good job, Miguel. That was so much fun. Thank you for making it fun, at least for sure.
Yeah, sure, guys. This is a thing. It's a game. Is to come over here, try to make it look like it's or feel like we're actually driving in real life, but at the same time, having fun. That's what it's all about.
Well, there you have it. Third place finisher Miguel Colon. I mean, just led 43 out of 80 laps and just came up short on that last restart. But I think Alec has got our race winner, Davis Braun, in chat with us.
Yes, sir. Davis Braun, you start on the pole, lead 28 laps, and win it in dramatic fashion against Miguel Colon, Brian Shabelski, and a few other guys, Brett Stevens, Kyle Smith. How was that last restart?
Oh, I mean, it's always hectic at Pocono, right? I was just wasn't even really optimistic about it. I was just kind of trying to survive. After the initial start of the race, that was crazy enough for me. I didn't really want to see another restart the rest of the way, and lo and behold, we got two in the last 10 laps there. So luckily, potentially the last one was single file. So yeah, could tell on the initial initial jump that the draft was going to be a big factor, and didn't have quite the run that I would have wanted, but knew that if I got a good run off 3 on coming to the white flag, that we would potentially be in good shape. The rest of the lap didn't go necessarily as planned. Kind of eyes got wide and optimistic when I saw Miguel slap the wall off 3, and then I just followed him into the wall completely unprepared. Luckily, still able to kind of get that run and then hold off Brian and all other 10 trucks that were like 5 wide back there in my mirror. So yeah, so a lot of fun and probably a lot of luck there as well.
Well, it was very fun to watch you guys. We were screaming over here watching you guys all go at it. And next week, you have 2 top 2 finishes in a row, 1 win, 1 second place. Next week, go to a mile and a half, very worn out surface out at Homestead Miami Speedway. How do you feel about going out there and possibly being able to back it up with another win?
I mean, it's a tough crowd, tough group of guys here. Lots of really fast racers here. So I'm not going to say I'm overly optimistic to go back to back, but I'm very fortunate in the schedule here with Pocono and Homestead. Those are 2 of my favorite tracks. Homestead is probably one of my favorites on the NASCAR circuit. So yeah, not sure. Gonna have to go do a lot of practicing to find that speed that Miguel has in there somewhere. So do some searching there, but very excited for Homestead. Should be another great race. Love that layout there, and yeah, I mean, great group of guys here. Thanks to David and everyone at CMS again, as always, for putting this on. It's a lot of fun, and thank of course for you two for broadcasting as well.
Well, I appreciate you shouting out before I even asked you the question. You know what's up, brother. But, man, it was awesome to watch you here. And is there anybody else you want to give a shout out to, or was that what you got?
That's all I got. Yeah.
All right. Well, we appreciate you doing that, brother. Well, again, congratulations on the win tonight. Absolutely electrifying race and an electrifying finish, my friend. So, again, congratulations, Davis. Go out there and celebrate, and we'll hopefully be talking to you again next week at Homestead.
Sounds good. Yeah, hope to talk to you then as well.
All right, we'll have a phenomenal evening, Davis. Davis Braun, your winner here tonight from the Pocono Raceway, the Tricky Triangle. Eddie, wow, what a finish. What a race. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that. Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Pocono just delivers a lot of fun and some interesting race strategy. We got guys trying all kinds of things, just wondering when if that caution was ever going to come out, and all that kind of went to the wayside, and it came down to the how tight were the nuts between the wheel and the seat, man. And Miguel Colon was was dominant most of the race. I think even early on when he was driving up through the field, was still the fastest driver on the track. And then just there at the end, you just got to be perfect all the way through in this series, and just was not perfect. Hit the wall. I mean, he got the lead on both restarts, but on that second one, just hit the wall. And Davis Braun, I mean, gotta give it, hand it to him. He was there trying to keep Miguel in his sights, and there on that last restart, it just exactly what he needed and opened the door, and he was able to get the win. So I mean, if you didn't enjoy this race, I don't know what to tell you.
I'll tell you. I mean, and that's what we love about racing. Somebody who we thought should have won, get one caution. That's what we love about stock car racing. Anybody can win, especially on these late race restarts. As our race results pulled up, Davis Braun leads 28 laps, started on the pole, and he brings it home, P1. Your winner here tonight, for the Pocono Raceway, Ryan Shabelski will come home in second. Miguel Colon, the dominant truck of the day, one mistake unfortunately cost him the race victory, but he'll come home third and extend the points lead. Kyle Smith comes home fourth.
Great
Brett
recovery
Stevens,
for Kyle.
Great recovery for Kyle. Brett Stevens comes home fifth. Jose Ramirez in sixth. Dennis Crosby, after getting involved in an incident late in the race, rebounds to seventh. Scott Kennedy comes home eighth. And how about Michael Parker, ninth? And the guy we spoke to early in this race, Jay Darger, gets home a top 10.
Tim Collier comes home in 11th. All these drivers a lap down, just how dominant Miguel Colon and those lead top 3 or 4 were. Mike Tyler comes home in 12th. Kevin Ayers in 13th. Mark Nister, we didn't really talk about him other than the first lap where he got loose and then caught the truck and then hit those bumps down on the apron and just went right into the wall. So a good recovery for him to finish in 14th. Jack Clark in 15th. Gabriel Albano going to be in 16th. Anthony James in 17th. David Anderson, oh man, just you so disappointed in that with that penalty. Just kind of like a whoopee cushion, or letting air out of a balloon. He was having such a good run, and then and just let all the air out with that speeding penalty. But still comes home in 18th. We'll have to see how the points play out because he came in second, but still in a pretty good spot. But definitely going to be disappointed, David Anderson will. Alex Maynard comes home in 19th. Michael Farrell, who we didn't really mention all that much tonight, comes home in 20th. Jacques Richard comes home in 21st. And then Chris Hudson, with that noted issue loading the wrong setup, is going to come home in that 23rd position.
Yes, man, what a great race here again for the Tricky Triangle. A phenomenal race, 80 laps of just straight up going at it, hard racing all night long. And again, thank you to the Champion Motorsports Racing League for sponsoring this race and allowing us to come and broadcast, as well as the Champions Circle, who members of VIP Discord subscriptions with great perks and special benefits, and of course the Storm Gang Simulations group as well for in-house top level modifying group for R Factor 2. And being a member of CMS, you can get exclusive opportunities to enjoy their race content, and as well as IRTES, a flagship multi-class sports car series with great sponsors, prices, and the top level of esports competition. Just awesome. I mean, how can you get any better than what we saw tonight? Again, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you tuning in. I was Alec Martinez along with Eddie Smith, my producer. Appreciate all of you guys watching. And again, thank you to Adam Baker, Bradley Cooper for all that they do for V-Speed as well. And thank you to all their sponsors. Remember, if you liked what you saw, give old V-Speed number 2, V-Speed 2, V-Speed and the V-Speed Racing Network a follow. And check up with our social media for all updates for upcoming seasons and series that we all broadcast. Again, Eddie, phenomenal racing tonight as well. Congrats to Davis Braun, your winner of race number 5 of the Champion Motorsports Truck Series season. We will see you next week for race 6 of the season at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Everybody take care and have a phenomenal evening, and we'll see you next week from South Florida.